kind of program here. So we'll talk about things that has happened since last month, some of the bills that are floating around, some of the changes, some of the eviction things happening. Things are changing by the day. I do want to introduce our co-host, Beth Short of Daily Property Management. Loads of information and helpful every time we have this.
Thank you.
We'll begin with what we normally do is, Susan, anything you want to talk about FFREIA? I think we have a sign up for the party, right? Or the picnic?
Yeah, we do. Make sure that you send me an email so that I can get you on the list. You need to be registered or you don't get any food. There's going to be whatever COVID guidelines are in place at the time. So we're envisioning, at least right now, that everything is going to be outside. And in the lodge, the White House Lodge at Webster Park, we'll have the support crew and the cooks and the servers. And so bring your own lawn chair, because we'll be out on the lawn and in the parking lot. And you need to be a member. You can bring a friend, but you need to let me know. So make sure you let me know. Looking forward to it.
Cool. And what date is that again? August?
August 13th. That's a Thursday from 6 till 9:30, 10 o'clock.
And masks are optional, or what's the protocol?
No, bring your masks. Definitely bring your masks. And be prepared to sit or stand 6 feet apart in small groups. There's a limit to how many people can actually be in the lodge at this point. And we think it's about 50, but we're not going to want to have to count that. So it'll be outside with maybe just passing through the inside of the lodge to get your food. Hopefully the weather will be good. If it's not, bring an umbrella too. But we plan on being there. And Leon is preparing the ribs, getting that all set up and started.
And no sneezing allowed, right? All right, and next up we have one of our vendor members, David, the Glidden guy. If you have a couple words there, Dave.
Hey everybody, good evening. Thank you, Carl. Words of wisdom right now is this is house painting season. The weather's great. It's under 90 degrees. So now is the time to do your outdoor work versus a week ago or 2 weeks ago when it was above 90. So take advantage of the good weather in the 80s. Good time to do your exterior. Don't forget to put your Pro Extra number in when you buy your paint to make sure you get credit for the sale and you get the proper discount. So that's what I've got today, Carl. Thank you.
Awesome. And a new change there at Home Depot, as well as Walmart and everything. They clamped down on masks. Now it's kind of mandatory, which before it was like haphazard, but they're clamping down pretty good now.
They are. State of New York, got to wear a mask at Home Depot.
And what's this big idea about not having wood at Home Depot? You saw that?
The Canadians are holding on to that, and they're not sending it across the border, Carl.
There's a disruption in the supply chain. I don't know if you've been to Home Depot, but they're out of 2x4s to treated, and just a lot of wood is blowing me away. Empty shelves. Kind of like there's a run on wood, like there's a run on toilet paper before.
Yep.
I don't know if you noticed, but there's also one of the trucking companies that delivers windows. Like half of their truckers came down with COVID, so we have a lot of windows on back order because they can't get the windows to the place. I don't know if anyone else has run into that.
Windows, lighting, toilets, lock sets, anything imported is in a bad way right now and has been. And this is kind of right on time, and they really don't expect it to be done until almost September. So it'll be a fun couple months in the middle of what should be peak season.
Awesome. And then finally, what we normally do is we'd like those who have come to this meeting for the first time to introduce themselves, tell us about your real estate endeavors and how you learned about FFREIA and so on. I think we have a couple people new. Karen, you've been here before, right?
Yeah, I've been to just a couple of meetings. I recently bought a duplex in the city. It's my first experience with having a tenant. She's awesome. She's absolutely wonderful, wonderful tenant. And I'm living in the other unit. The house is a bit of a fixer-upper, so I'm making some repairs on the unit that I'm living in while I'm here. So I just don't have a lot of specific questions, but I learn a lot just listening to you guys talk. So thanks for letting me.
And that's what this particular meeting is all about. Is if you have those questions, bring them up as time goes on, because we share best practices. Everybody has, with our experiences, we have results that have proven to be successful. And if you have a particular situation, we've probably been through it already, so we can help you out with that.
Yeah.
So let's get through this. Sherwin, you've been with to this meeting before, right?
I've been to the alternative one twice. The first time on the landlord one, and I'm probably the newest FFREIA member. I think I just signed up and paid dues 2 days ago, since this is my third official meeting.
Okay, good. So yeah, I saw you last time. So this particular everything property management meeting, talking about this particular one, if you've been here for the first time, and I think Brian, is this your first time here?
Yes, it is. I'm Brian Timmons, Remax Realty Group. I'm Colleen Bracci's partner, and she gets me out of trouble. I get her out of trouble. We help each other in and out of windows to break into houses, and just hoping to learn a little bit, share a little bit, and thanks for having me.
Awesome. So we're going to get the some vantage point from the real estate agent perspective, right? And Gene, you've been here before. Andy, Doug, Leslie, you've been here before? And if you don't want to come on, you don't have to come on.
Yeah, so I've been here before. If you got to see me, you'll remember me, I guess. I don't have the video on.
Okay, all right. You've been here before. Is that D. Thompson? Is that D? We'll take a roll call here, kind of like school. Jim, you've been here before, right? Erblin?
Yep, I've been here.
Yep. Oh yeah, Jim. And Anthony, you've been here before in this one? Are you on mute? You're on mute. Or we can't hear you. Are you there? Somehow we can't hear you. If you want to just give that a shot. All right, hold on. We're gonna hold on. We're gonna come back to Anthony for a second. Stuart's been around for since the dinosaur ages. Tony's been around. Dustin, you've been with this meeting before?
Yes, sir. I'm a FFREIA member.
Awesome. You've been to this meeting before, the everything property management?
Oh yeah, I've been to a few of these.
All right. Because we can't see face, we can't tell. This is what we have.
All
Milt, hello,
right.
Milt. And we got Dustin. Dustin's driving somewhere.
Yeah, I do HVAC for a living, so I'm working right now.
Awesome. Anthony, are you good to go, Anthony, or what's up?
So, can you hear me?
Go
Are you
ahead.
able to hear me? Okay, great. This is my first meeting. Heard about you guys on Bigger Pockets. and on the forums, just starting my journey into real and just kind of in the information gathering stage. So I'm just curious to hear what everyone has to say.
Awesome, awesome. Anybody else? We're all good? Everybody's here, we're all good? Miss Salter, you been here before?
I haven't been to this meeting before, but I've been at others. So this is my first time. So I'm just trying to learn.
Good, good. So for the new folks, again, anytime you want to belt out an issue or a problem or a question, it's a fluid night. There's nothing formal. We're just going to cover some topics and see where they go, right? So the first thing I want to cover is, I think, who's not aware that the New York State rent relief program that was put into effect about 10 days ago, who is not aware of that? Anybody? And all this stuff is online. You go to NYSRRP. It's a rent relief program. It's a result of a bill that was passed a few weeks ago, a month ago, of which I believe FFREIA, Under One Roof, the Roundtable, Melcar, we've supported because it provides rent relief directly to owners and landlords if a tenant's been affected with COVID. Now, it is pretty much, it's layered. There's a lot of bureaucratic strings to this thing, but there's an FAQ on the website. It's all right there. There's a printout that you can give to your tenants to get them to do. The only issue we had with this was the tenants need to apply and get all documents together. And I've been hearing initially it's been a little problematic in terms of getting all that stuff together and getting approvals. Now there's a short window to apply with this. I believe it ends July 31st. It's like a 2-week window, which is not sufficient in my opinion. But all of my tenants who are behind got this thing the day of this was announced. So hopefully they're going through that and trying to apply for that. Has anybody had any experience with this? Beth, how about you?
Yeah, the day that, actually the day before it went live, we did a mass text to all of our tenants and told them about it, whether they owed money or not. And then like 5 minutes before it went live, we sent them a reminder. We have had quite a few people that said they don't qualify. I'm really not sure why. From what I understand, they kind of get it's going to be a week or so before you hear anything from us. So, and I know the deadline, like you said, is next week. So it goes quick.
Yeah. So I'm not going to go through it because it's very layered in terms of what constitutes qualifying. But essentially, if a tenant is paying their 30% of their gross income towards rent, more than 30%, they qualify. There's a number of reasons. There's a list of things they need to qualify for, but they're trying to help folks that have been affected with COVID-19 financially with the reduction of income. That's their target population. We'll see how that unravels, but if you want to learn about that, again, NYSRRP, Google that up, you'll get right in. It's a pretty nice full site with a lot of FAQs and the things everybody needs to know. So that's all. That's recently rolled out. The other, any questions with that? Anybody else have experience and have knowledge of this rent relief program? It's something that's available to us. We're all yelling and crying that, we're not getting rent, blah, blah, blah. Here's an opportunity to try to, correct that, or it's one possibility to get help. Nobody else has any comments on the RRP?
Carl, I have a quick question. Will will they also help pay for the back rent too, or just from that day going forward?
Good question. So the period of eligibility is 4 months. April, they do go back. April, May, June, and July. 4 months. And they're going to pay, again, it's a formula that they pay. I won't get into it, but it's on the website. Even if they paid rent, if they're still eligible, they will still get financial help. And if they paid the full rent, you can actually use that money given, if they qualify, towards August, September. One little plus about this program.
Now, does the money get directly to the landlord, or does it go to the tenant?
Directly to the landlord. That's right. But the tenant needs to initiate the application process. You know, it's all online. So I've heard rumblings from the tenant community, again, through third-party folks, that it's just too much. They need too much. Beth, I don't know, what's been your response?
I mean, if it's free money, just spend 20 minutes and upload the documents. That's what I think. I don't think it's anything more than normal. They just have to prove that they're COVID related. If they didn't lose their job, they didn't lose hours, they can't get it. Or if they're Section 8, they can't get it. But I mean, if they're going to help you with 4 months rent, even if it takes you 2 hours, I would assume that it's worth their time. But for us, I mean, we deal with a lot of low income who just kind of have things done for them all the time. So the people who are applying, we're kind of following up with them every day to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. So little babysitting. And I'm going to put the link on the side.
Oh, thank you. What's been the response from your tenants in terms of their response to their application process? Anybody telling you anything?
They have a lot of questions. Sometimes they need documents from us, like they need a document stating that they're late and how much they're late. But that's been pretty easy to deal with. It hasn't been anything crazy. We've had more luck with the Catholic family one, if you want to touch on that, than the New York State one so far.
Well, let's go to the Catholic. Let me just back that up. So the CARES Act distributed lots of money to all municipalities, including Rochester, and they distributed those funds to third-party agencies, many of them, Catholic Family Center being one, but they seem to be the lead go-to agency. Beth, maybe you can explain the process or how a tenant could access that.
Yeah, I actually just pulled it up on my phone, and the way that they have to do it is they have to call a phone number, but before they do that, there's like this whole intake that they kind of have to self-qualify before they call the phone number, and it's actually pretty easy. I can put that link on the side also. So we've been kind of giving our tenants a lot of tools on different ways to do it. I know there's other agencies that have money available also. So we haven't seen money yet, but this one just came out, last Thursday. I think Catholic Family was right around the same time. So it's just a matter of providing the tenants with what they need.
Now we can't make it any simpler for the tenants to go after rental help. How? Real simple. They set up a phone number called 211. Call 211, and they will direct you to an appropriate agency to help you with whatever your situation is. They've got the full list of resources to assist tenants that inquire. So 211, and as I said last month, Beth, I mailed you the list of agencies, right?
Yeah.
With the 211, yeah. So have you been able to add to that? Was that pretty inclusive?
Yeah, YWCA is helping a handful of tenants. And then the agency RAIN, RAIHN, I believe we have received quite a few checks from them. So honestly, it's in the tenant's hands. They have to go jump through the hoops, but to not have us harass them every day. They're like, okay, let's do it. So.
Beth said the key thing, it's in the tenant hands. So it's our job as managers to get that information into the tenant hands. So that's why I developed a full list of third-party agencies and the 211 number. Every time I send out a receipt, money owed, and or not payment of rent situation, 14-day pay or quit notices, attached to those and is that list. Along with that list, which is the window is closing, and this one's really interesting. I never experienced this before, but the YMCA, not the YWCA, the YMCA, again, they were funded, I think they were funded with the CARES Act, but they have and online too, they have a one-page application that the tenant fills out and they mail to the YMCA. It's one page. And it's an automatic $900. Now, what's weird about this is that there's no communication between YMCA and the manager, which is odd. Normally there's a paper trail, right? They want a W-9, they want this. It's just so weird. $900 checks just start showing up in my mailbox. So that one there, YMCA, pull that up. They got the application and the cover letter. That goes out to all my tenants. That window closes, by the way, July 13th. So that program is ending July 30th of this year. Beth, are you aware of that? And have you tried any of that?
Yes, you told me about that one. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Have you received any checks in the mail? Just they show up?
No, but we've had quite a few tenants say that they did do it. But that was like maybe a week ago.
Oh,
so
it takes a while. Yes.
Yeah.
I've had some where they applied. I got one in 1 to 2 weeks. I had some that applied. I got one 2 months later. So it's kind of weird. But it just shows up out of nowhere. It's like, you know, it's usually not how it's done with the third party nonprofits. Any questions so far with tenant rental help? We're going to go to Karen. I think you're following the chat room over there. But Karen is looking for a recommendation for a handyman in the city. We all are. We got it. We're not going to tell you. But that's a high commodity to have a reasonably priced all-around handyman. They're hard fought for it. Let me tell you. So, but there's a recommendation there that was given to you. Just follow up on that. But does anybody have a recommended handyman for Karen? And you don't have to give up your own. See, you're still, Karen, you're still on mute.
Sorry, forgot to unmute. I'll do most small repairs myself. If I can do it with a screwdriver or a hammer, I'm good, but I don't like to do electrical. You know, if I have any small electrical jobs, I just wondered if anybody has somebody I can call. So I did get one recommendation. Thank you.
I do have another one, Karen.
Yeah.
I'm driving, so if you can write down my phone number right now and text her, I'll give you this person's information.
Okay.
But he's not an all-around handyman. I'd consider him an electrical handyman, but he is certified.
Fantastic.
My number is 585-857-2444.
Okay. Great. Thanks so much, Justin.
No problem.
In that line of discussion, so many times I use, in fact, I've gotten many people over the year. I've been doing this for 37 years full time, and I come from the maintenance background, so I do a lot of this myself. I'm very familiar with the costs associated with doing anything from top to bottom. But I have found people poo-poo Craigslist for some reason, but Craigslist is a source for potentially leads to those type of folks. Yeah, you have to vet them. You got to make sure, you know, things are up and up. You know, there's some scams in there, but you can sniff them out. But I've gotten many of my tradespeople, if you will, my 1099s through the Craigslist circle. So, in fact, my licensed electrician, I got through Craigslist, you know, about 14 years ago. My plumbers, I have several. So, I actually have, for example, I have a file. There's a guy that hires himself out to picks up TVs, old TVs for 15 bucks. Why is that relevant? In the city, you can't put them on the curb anymore. It's a $25 fine, right? And tenants just put them on the curb. Next thing you know it, you get the bill, right? So there's actually a service, and I've always wanted to try to find somebody that does that. It was a very long and hard process, somebody to deal with TVs, you know, especially the big ones. But there's this guy that goes around, take a picture, you know, here it is, go get it. 15 bucks, PayPal, done. That's, you know, that's an example of what you find in Craigslist. Yeah. I had an example. For example, I had a garage I had to tear down, and you know, and then you know you can present a request for proposal. You know, here's the picture, here's what's needed, and you respond to 3, 4, 5 different people. Getting their price, I get multiple prices or bids on a project. That's an easy way to just dive into that right online. So the Craigslist has been a very helpful tool with what I've, not the only one, but it's been very helpful.
Great, thank you.
Anybody else in terms of resource for good tradesmen? Y'all want to keep your own good tradesmen. I get that. All right? Don't give them up. Right, Beth?
Hey, if I didn't have enough work, I would give you their name and number, but
yeah,
no, no. Sorry.
You can always go to findthehomepros.com and look there. There's a list from the Rochester Home Builders and the Upstate Building Industry Alliance that I'm on the board of directors for that is maintained by members that have to sign a code of ethics and some workmanship standards and some other stuff. And they're all local companies. It's a good place to check. They don't do a lot with the real estate industry. Mostly they work with homeowners and home builders, but it's still a good place to check if they are available.
Yeah, Angie's List. There's a couple others. I don't have that on top of my head. Andy, maybe you know what they are, but Angie's List is one. There's another one, a couple others out there that you can tap into. There might be a fee to be paid with that. I'm not sure.
Even House does it now, open to the public.
Yeah.
The people on House have to pay for it to be listed, but it works kind of like Angie's List. There's a few other ones. There's one that used to be called Red Beacon that Home Depot owns now. It's called Home Depot Pro Referral. Seeing that Home Depot's a vendor for us, it's probably a good place to look as well.
Got Beth, back to your question for Beth. Back to the Catholic Family Center. Is that triggered by a phone call first, or is there an application that we can pull for them to fill out?
Let me look real quick.
In other words, if they go to the website.
Yeah, which I spelled wrong on the side, but you know, you get the gist.
I saw that.
So there's an emergency rent assistance call center. I'll put the phone number on the side. That's kind of their intake. So it looks like they have to provide proof of income, current housing, why you have an emergency, and then you just need your social security numbers of everyone in the household. And you have to have a denial from DSS. So if they don't have the denial, then there's no reason for the person to apply. I'll put the phone number on the side. And then Carl, when you're done with this, I don't know if you're aware of the new Section 8 kind of signing bonus.
No, but you're going to talk about that.
I don't want to get ahead of you though. Tell me when you're ready.
Okay, well, we're gonna shift to this topic, and then you got the
Okay.
whole floor. Because we have two awesome real estate agents on this meeting tonight, Brian and Colleen. And everybody needs to know this. I think most people don't know this, and that's the new law regarding fair housing, notification of fair housing. And people think it's just for the brokers and the agents. No, it's for every little mom and pop, Karen, even you. If you got a 2-family house, you've got to comply with this law. And Colleen is going to go through it in a second. But basically, you have to post a notice. And this notice is on the Department of State website, New York State. They have one prepared for you to out. Needs to be posted in your apartment when you're showing the apartment. Eventually, if there's a lease signed, there's a acknowledgement that they received that notice, just like the lead notice that you're supposed to do. And there's other rules for brokers and agents and website users. So, Colleen, maybe you can elaborate, or Brian.
Yeah, the fair housing notice went into effect a little over a month ago,
20.
right, Brian? Yeah.
Yeah, June 20th.
Yeah, and
June 20th.
Yep. And basically, like I was telling somebody today, actually, you walk a fine line now when you're showing houses, apartments, whatever. Like, you're not supposed to be saying this is a master bedroom. You're not supposed to be saying this is a Jack and Jill bathroom. You're not supposed to say this is a great family area. There's a lot of things that you're prohibited to saying because you don't want to be casting any bias on one person to another in looking at houses. And it became a real hot button topic over the last couple of years, just trying to be equal for all. And they put it into law that we needed to have this disclosure when we're showing houses. It's supposed to be posted at your house. It's supposed to be posted at your apartment, like you said. And yes, all parties must sign a fair housing disclosure stating that they are aware of the rules and regulations and they saw the notice.
Yeah.
Colleen, is this something like only you would need to worry about it at the time you're selling a property?
Well, if you're showing the property to somebody,
okay,
it should be displayed if it's a tenant or a buyer, but also buyers have to sign the paper saying that they saw it as well. So it's not just for the seller to sign.
Okay, but it's only something that would be done at the time when the property is for sale or being sold. Like, right. I'm living in mine now, my tenant is living here. I don't have to worry about it until such time as if I wanted to sell the place. Okay.
Yeah, it should be Karen, a part of your lease package.
Yeah, that also goes for leasing, renting an apartment, not
okay.
Yeah. Yep. That's why any landlord, manager, do-it-yourself person has to comply with this. Not the big guys out there, right? The real estate agents, everybody. You got a 2-family house, you're showing it down apartment, you've got to comply with that disclosure. And again, pull that form off the website. It's all there for you. And
I'm happy to give it to anybody. I'm happy to give it to anybody who can't find it on the Department of State website. Just hit me up and I'll send it to you.
There you go. Yeah, today I had my first showing, my first apartment in about a month. Taped it right onto the kitchen wall. And I actually have an information sheet that I give the folks that they walk out with. They have a copy of that too, right there with them. So that's, you got to get on board with this. Now, obviously, like any major transition of this sort, there's going to be an education period or an adjustment period. So there's no fair housing law discrimination police out there just yet. So it's an education period right now. And that's part of what this platform is, and any platform, to get the word out. So.
And one of the things you need to think about is if you're buying an occupied home, so you got a double, you've got tenants, both sides, suppose they're both Section 8, and you don't want people in there with assistance, and you want cash. So you got to think about that when you take over. You know, having those people out, you got to take a look at this fair housing law and changing the tenants that are in there. Part of this also addresses service animals, and that's the first time that's really been in a document like this. So, person has a emotional support pet, you can't refuse them from having that dog or cat or whatever it is in that dwelling. So, you know, there's a lot of good points in here. I think there's about 8 different bullets that are in here. Some are really, you know, just common sense, but there's things to really think about with rentals.
I have a stupid question. Why can't you say it's a Jack and Jill bathroom? I don't understand.
It could offend 2 women or 2 men.
Or
Swear to
somebody
God.
who currently identifies as a pretzel.
Swear to God. Yep.
Or someone that doesn't identify as a male or female at all.
Correct.
That'd be a pretzel.
Can I just say J and J bathroom?
Sure, why not? It's Jack and Jack or Jill and Jill or just Jay.
When you said that, I couldn't figure out what I'm racking my brains. Like, what's the, I don't understand.
Could we say like Chris and Terry?
Yes, possibly. That might get you around it. I don't know.
Hey, Joe, get with the program, bud.
Listen, if somebody gets offended by me saying a Jack and Jill bathroom, I don't want them as a tenant.
Yeah.
You're out.
This is true.
You are out. You
are
just dismissed and fired.
You're so ripe for a lawsuit, bud. Go ahead.
Sue me for saying Jack and Jill. Please, I would love them to do that.
Look, you know me. I do a filter, you know, that's fine-tuned. My filter is not often where it should be.
Right.
So I walk that fine line every day. It's a tightrope, man. I'm telling you.
That's why we love you, because you do.
One of the bullets that's on here is you can't refuse a tenant that has children, and you can't ask for a higher security deposit no matter how many children they have in the house. And I'm curious if anybody has a higher security deposits or if you ask for that with the amount of people that are in the house.
You
I think
can't
that's
anymore.
against the law.
It's illegal now. You are
Yeah, with
restricted
the new
to 1 month's rent.
Right.
Yeah, I've never done that since day one. I don't play with the security deposit. What I do play with though is the rental price. Now it's going to be based upon criteria. If they meet the rent times 3 income requirement, all of my apartments are offered at a discounted rent, and it's all explained right up front what that means or what's required to qualify for that. And if you don't qualify for that, it goes to the normal rental rate. This is with everybody, right? So there's nothing weird about this. It's across the board with everybody, and it's all right up front. It's a little bit proprietary, but anything else in the conversation of fair housing requirements and things of that nature?
Yeah, I do, Carl. I was just wondering if you had any experience accepting tenants with support animals and having issues because of that animal.
Well, you just opened up a Pandora's box. All right, now, should we go down this road? Oh my God. Have you, Dustin? Have you had experience with emotional support animals?
I have not.
Okay. And again, we'll keep it at emotional support animals. There's another segment called service animals. We'll keep that off to the side. But in a nutshell, I would suggest that you hit the websites out there, glue it up, and learn all about the New York State statutes and so on regarding emotional support animals. But in essence, when somebody comes to you with an emotional support animal request, you have to provide, well, first they have to prove that they qualify to have one, and I think Beth could talk about that in terms of what's required that's the third party healthcare provider needs to provide a statement saying they would benefit from the emotional support animal. You have to provide reasonable accommodation to allow that, which means that your no pet policy goes out the window. You can't charge for a pet policy or more rent because of that. I mean, there's a lot of things involved, but here, I think this is where you're going with your question. You can still qualify the pet. All right, you can actually, and I do actually a home visit. Somebody talks to me about an emotional support animal. I have a list of criteria. When I do the home visit, if any of these items exist, you're not qualified. For example, showing signs of aggression, signs of extreme smell in the property, stuff that you normally disallow a dog anyways, a pet. Emotional support animals and service animals are not considered pets. But we can talk a lot more about this, Dustin, but I'm not sure if I got to your question.
Yeah, you were close. Basically, I mean, in a nutshell, I understand completely that it's against fair housing laws to not accept them for that reason, because they're not a pet or a support animal. What I was mostly thinking of, looking outside the box, is if this animal is rambunctious and they're making noise or barking inside the home.
Great question.
Things like that, obviously, we have no control over. So,
right, great question. So
that's what I was getting at.
once you accept a support animal in your property, they are now subject to your pet or your animal rules. Okay, and if they violate them, that's a lease violation. So you should have a pet policy in terms of, like you're saying, they've attacked the neighbor. The owners are not taking care of picking up their crap, or producing a big smell from the, all those things about pets that they have to comply with, that they don't comply with. You have the right to terminate tenancy for a lease violation. Falls under the same emotional support animal or not. Beth, chime in here with a couple of things with your experience.
I mean, the biggest thing that it's so hard, because it's kind of such a fine line, and who you talk to may have a different opinion on the way the law is interpreted. I mean, a service animal, like Karl said, that's a whole different being. An emotional support animal, what we typically do is ask the person for documentation, and if it's a legit emotional support animal, they typically have it, and they're not going to fight you on it because they know what's needed. We have had instances where tenants move in and all of a sudden there's a dog there and they say it's an emotional support animal, and you and I both know it's not. But like Karl said, if you are an emotional support animal, service animal, they know how to behave. So if they're not behaving like an animal who is, sorry, I don't even think they call it an animal, do they? I don't think so. But if you're not, I guess, behaving like it should, meaning not making noise, it's there to provide a service for the tenant. If it's not doing that, then absolutely it's a lease violation, and you can take them to court on that. Now, court's a whole different ballgame. Karl, what do you think? I've never really seen a judge actually give it a time of day for violating a lease based on a pet.
Those are extremely rare if they ever get that far, right?
Right.
So let me go back to emotional support animal is correct. It can be anything within reason. Mm-hmm. Okay. A service animal is a dog.
Right.
Emotional support animal could be a snake, a rabbit. It could be a bird. That's why they say it's an animal. But the biggest problem that we come across, like Beth said, is that the dog shows up and they cry emotional support animal. All right, fine. You go through the process. That's fine. Show me your third party provider, and you have to scrutinize those also, because there's online garbage out there that are not valid. You really want a local one, hopefully, or something that you can verify that they would benefit from an emotional support animal. Then you have to go do the home visit, and again, that list of criteria, if they pass that list of criteria, you essentially have to allow an emotional support animal. So I'm going back to Dustin's statement. No, you don't have to accept an emotional support animal. They have to pass the muster. You have that. They pose a risk to other residences. If they act aggressively, and I tell people when I come to the door, I'm banging on the door, and that dog is on the other side of that door, ferociously barking at me. Okay, you're out. That's a guard dog. And if you're not with that dog, it's a guard dog. So you're out. And if you open up the door and he's still barking at me, you're out. And then, significant smell comes from the part. You get the idea, right? So you don't have to accept one, but you need to provide reasonable accommodation. That's what you need to do. And from the onset, it's the no pet policy goes out the window. The extra fees for dogs goes out the window. That's what you have to do. But you don't have to accept the dog based upon your criteria. I hope that helped you out, Dustin.
Carl.
Yeah, Dee?
This is Dee Thompson. Yeah.
Oh,
They also
boy.
the landlord should check their insurance homeowner policy too, because some of those policies does not allow certain dogs, and if they have those dogs in there, if something happens, they're not going to cover that policy.
Well,
and that's actually a fine line, because insurance companies will say we don't take these certain kinds of breeds. Well, if it is a legit emotional support animal or a service animal, the insurance company cannot deny coverage or make you get rid of that. But I've come to the point where I've had to almost educate the insurance company about that. And then it just gets into a bickering war. But at the end of the day, they did side with us because it was actually a service animal, wasn't pit bull. And I had to provide all kinds of documentation, and they cannot, it's some kind of discrimination against service animals for an insurance company to say, remove the dog from the premises or have them get renter's insurance, which covers the dog. You can't make them do that either.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So I got to tell you a story. This will blow your mind. Colleen, Charlotte Street, Alexander, right? I had the 3-family unit down there, and one of those cases, the lady, moved in pit bull, and I actually took a video clip, opened up the door with the pit bull right there. He was going to kill me, right? It disturbed the other neighbors. It was an attack dog. Even the parents said, we told her not to bring that there because it's going to cause problems. I don't know. So it all led up to one thing. This blew up my mind. My first floor tenant saw this and actually got the police report. The dog, pit bull, she's on the 2nd floor, flew out the 2nd floor window, through a screen, 2nd floor, people, hello. And 20 feet down, and went after pedestrian over on Alexander Street. Luckily, that person got out of the way, and it was so bizarre. Yeah, that's not an emotional support animal. You get the idea.
You need emotional support after you see it.
I think Dustin went to do a repair job. Oh, there you are. Dustin, did it help you out a little bit? I think he's gone. He went to go do a service call. Still on. All right. Well, let's close that thread. Karen, you had a question?
No, I think my questions have been answered so far. I'm just.
Okay, no problem.
No,
We're
I'm
gonna move
sweating
on.
at flies every now and then, so if I look like I'm waving, I've got a fly keeps coming at me here, so sorry.
All right, so we're gonna get into a little section 8 here. Beth has some updates on section 8. Before we begin with that, if you remember, I think Colleen when it happened last year. It was passed in local law and state law that you cannot deny based upon income, right? I'm not quite sure when it happened, Colleen. Beth, you know, it was
Not deny, say that, I missed
based upon source of income.
Oh, yeah.
It began as a local law, then it went to a state law, and it was like a year ago. And that includes Section 8 and DHS and SSI. So Beth has got some new information on current state of Section 8.
Okay, so Section 8 came out with 4 incentive programs last week. Now, we got a direct email because we participate with Section 8, so I don't know how non-Section 8 owners are learning of this, but the first one, I'm going to go kind of best to worst because some of them don't make sense to me, but there's kind of like a signing bonus. If you don't take Section 8 tenants and you take your first one, they give you $1,000, and you can do that up to 5 times, and it's 5 times per LLC. So let's say Carl, I know he doesn't take Section 8 tenants. If he were to all of a sudden take them, his first 5 tenants, he would get $1,000 signing bonus.
Did you just advertise that? Hold on. I don't what?
Carl takes Section 8, but then he sends them to me and we'll take them. So that's totally fine.
I take all Section 8 people.
Right.
They just don't end up in my apartments. Okay, we'll leave it.
That's right. That's right. So I mean, you can just not do the repairs, and then your house isn't up to Section 8 standards. So that's, you know, a way of putting it, we should say. But so it's $1,000 signing bonus. The only stipulation is that house cannot have a Section 8 participant in the previous 24 months. Now, for us, Gallagher Property Management, we already take Section 8, so I don't qualify for that $1,000 for my first 5 houses, but I qualify for $500 for 5 houses. So we went to Section 8 and said, is it 5 per LLC or 5 per what? Because I mean, we have 180 owners. That's a big deal. And no, because the contract, the Section 8 contract is between the Section 8 and Gallagher Property Management. We can only do 5. So that's kind of the first one, which I think is really good. The second one is, so that's called the leasing up bonus. The second one is a rehabilitation recovery plan. So
Beth, going back to the first one, so that's just a signing bonus. It's just money there, not to be repaid, not to be allocated in any way. It's just yours.
Right, and I believe it's because they have such a hard time getting owners to, like you said, you can't discriminate against the income of Section 8, but you don't need to do the repairs to make it pass. So I think it's just an incentive to get more owners on board. That's my opinion. So the second one, which from what I understand, you can get all 4 of these at the same time. So the second one is called Rehabilitation Cost Recovery Plan. So if you have a tenant who qualifies and you want to rent to them, but you know it's going to need some work, you would call Section 8, you actually call the inspections department. They come out, they inspect, they tell you what's wrong. At that same time, the inspector will kind of write up a bill, and they'll reimburse you anywhere from $300 to $1,000 for said repairs. So after the first inspection, you do the work, they see the work is done, they'll reimburse you up to $1,000 for that work. Okay. As far as I read, there was no cap on that, so I'm not really sure how much that would go for. The next one, I personally have never even seen, I've never had to do it, but when Section 8 requires you to have a lead clearance test. Carl, has anyone ever run into that? Where Section 8 requires it? I never have.
What do you mean Section 8 require? I mean, part of the repair list, if there's above de minimis, yeah, you got to have a lead clearance.
Yeah, I guess I've never run into that because we do pre-inspects. So
I'm surprised. Yeah, if you have, yeah, they're pretty brutal too. So if you're going to do Section 8, make sure you have a no lead hazard paint situations at your property. Because if it's above the minimus, you need to hire an RRP firm, and you need to go to third-party clearance, and they're out there. So yeah, that happens.
It's kind of just like the C of O process. If it's like above certain terms, you got to have a third-party inspection. So if they require that, RHA will reimburse the landlord up to $500 per unit. And then the last one, I personally am not a fan of, but it's the same thing with an LTA that DSS offers. Now RHA is going to offer it. So I don't know if anyone's familiar with that, but they're calling it security deposit incentive. So the tenant doesn't have to come up with a cash security deposit. It's basically if the tenant causes any damage upon move out, you have to have an inspection, and Section 8 will pay for damages up to 1 month's rent.
Wow, they pulled that out of their butt. Colin, I don't know if you remember back in the day, that's what Section 8 did for deposits, 80s and 90s.
Oh yeah,
that's what they did. Yeah, and into the 2000. Then it changed, but they had what they called a paper security deposit, like the LTA. But if I remember, it went above the 1 month's rent.
Mm-hmm.
There was more involved.
I think it was 2 months, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was above. And,
Yep.
and so it was the same thing they had for like 2 decades back in the day. Yeah, they're pulling it out again.
I personally don't like that because I don't feel like it holds the tenants accountable. That's just my opinion. So those are the 4 things that Section 8 has out right now. And I just got this email the 17th. So what's that? Just about a week ago. I don't know if anyone else has seen it, but if you don't take Section 8, I think it's a great time to look into it because you can get the $1,000 signing bonus, $1,000 for any repairs done. So, I mean, it's $2,000 goes a long way. You're muted. There you go.
Yep, awesome update, Beth. That's we all.
And then I do know, I'm sorry, one more thing. Mark Mantione, who's head of Section 8, he'll be talking at Pat's meeting. What is that, the second Thursday of the month at 8:30, 9? Susan, help me. Okay.
You're talking about the
13th.
Bob's morning one, right? Or not Bob anymore. Bob's been fired. Pat's morning one, right?
Yeah. Actually, Bob covered for Pat last time, so he's still there.
Well, he's in town. Good.
Yes.
I asked Bob if he was going to be on the call tonight, and he said he was having a beer and a burger, and he wasn't going to make it.
Bob's a trip. Any other conversation or questions with Section 8?
I will say we love Section 8 tenants. I would take those all day, especially if there's no kids under 6.
Is it still a thing that if they get evicted for any reason, they can lose their certification for Section 8?
They can. So I have, if we have a tenant who has been evicted, you have to send their caseworker or housing specialist, I think they call it now, the eviction paperwork, and then I always send their move out pictures. From what I understand, they get a quote unquote hearing. And if the tenant doesn't kind of dispute that hearing, they're off Section 8. If they owe you money, they have to at least come up with a payment plan. And I've had a tenant pay 1 payment, never pay again, and she still got to keep it. So it's kind of a catch-22, but I have been successful with having people lose their Section 8 because of the damages they've done to the house.
Good.
So, and you know, it's like I said before, babysitter, but if Section 8 tenant is late on rent, we will call their worker and they get a nasty gram from their worker. So I personally like Section 8 tenants. They seem to be more responsible.
Good. Yeah, me too. Thanks.
Not only that, but the Section 8 rents are just, you can get above market value all day long. So yeah, you can maximize the rental value with Section 8. That's one good thing about it. For example, you get, market rate 3-bedroom single house for, 900, 950, right? Section 8, you're 1,100, 1,200 bucks because their algorithms for area rental prices support that. That's what they go by. So yeah, you command more rent with Section 8.
I mean, we can, for Section 8, we can easily get, and not, the areas are not too desired, but you can get, we're getting 1,400 for 5-bedroom houses all day long, all day.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if you agree or not, but that's Section 8. You put that on the open market, I'm sorry, but you're going to have a lot of backlash on that rental price.
No.
No?
No.
No? Okay.
You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. We market our stuff for whether you're cash Section 8 DSS, it doesn't matter. The price is the price. But sometimes, like you said, we do see the budget sheets and we're like, oh my God, they'll pay $1,500 for a 4-bedroom house, even in the outskirts, so I don't know. It's definitely has risen quite a bit.
Gotcha. All right. Any other input? Any other new topics before we go into our final stage here? Joe Buys, you want to chime in with? You got to say something.
What do you want me to say, Carl?
The state of economy. What is the state of, where are we with this whole real estate market right now? It's been a month.
Everything's going great. Everything's selling. Everybody's going nuts, as I'm sure Colleen and Brian can testify to that, along with everybody else on here. I'm just waiting to see what happens here in the next couple of months with all the layoffs and everything else. That's the only thing I'm worried about. So a lot of people are trying to stock up on stuff. I'm just waiting to see what happens. We're still buying. It's absolutely insane, But people are still selling. We're still finding great deals out there. And
so Joe, when you say great deals, type A, B, C, D, you talking about suburbia or ABC what?
We're finding both. I picked up a house on Merchants, a double, great condition, needed little work. Rents were low, but the guy owned it for 40 years and we bought it for $168. It's probably worth 220, actually 230s. We figure somewhere around there. And then we're also picking stuff up, some stuff up in the C areas, which have really gone up in value. We're really focusing on those. And especially even for the rentals. We picked up some stuff which are, we picked up for 50 and they're probably worth 100, 110. So stuff's selling. People are selling. It's tough to find the deals, but they are out there.
So I want to get Colleen's opinion here for a second. What I'm finding out there, inventory is low anywhere you go, A, B, C, or D. What I'm finding is the multiple dwelling 2-family on up in the D areas. They're just like, they're sitting, they're having a tough time, right? Because I think a lot of people are realizing, I don't want that headache. I don't want riots in my backyard. What's your opinion?
Yeah, you're right. It's definitely getting tougher in the D areas, no doubt about it. But that being said, there was just a 2-family that was listed on Avenue B this week. It was on the market 4 days. It was listed for $54,900 or $59,900. And it had 4 offers in 4 days. They sold it on Avenue B.
Well, that's close to being D, C, D.
Yeah.
All right. So I take that. I mean, I just said, let's move on to the next topic.
No, there's definitely some that are sitting on the market a little longer than others. I mean, especially comparison with the rest of the market. So yeah, you do see that, but there's like this one on Avenue B. There weren't even that many interior pictures to really judge, but the exterior looked great. and it had a C of O and 2 new tenants in there. So they must have done some work to, you know, get it up and going.
So let's quantify this, Colleen. So properties that have been rehabbed are looking awesome, turnkey. Yeah, they sell.
Yep.
We're
totally.
talking about the dives. We're talking about the ones
not as
that
easy.
Just they've been milked, right? They're sitting forever. This owner's gonna have to back out of this and lose some money to get out, or abandon. It's on its way to abandonment, is where it's going.
Yeah.
There is one exception. I gotta say this one exception, A, B, C, D, and I gotta say it because I have awesome portfolios in this area. Single family homes. I mean,
all day.
I can get in the D areas, single family homes, bam, flying off the shelf.
We have a lot of investors looking for single family homes, lots of them. Like if you have a house under 40,000 in the city, I can probably sell it for you.
Awesome. Colleen, real quick, that house on Avenue B, was it a blue house?
Yes. Did you see it? Did you go in it?
I'm the one who signed it out.
Well, it's sold. Steve Bentavania told me it's gone.
Yeah, I know. They sold it for above 60.
I thought they would. Yeah.
Wait a minute. Bentavania's still in business? I'm thinking of the other guy.
You're thinking the other Bentavania.
No, I'm thinking of Soldi. Remember Soldi?
Yeah. He's not. No, this is
gone.
Steve. And I don't think Steve's a relation. Yeah. But Steve's a good guy.
I remember Bentavania.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Any other topics anybody want to bring in? New folks, don't be afraid. Just
I did hear, I talked to a city inspector yesterday, and they are slowly starting to go back into houses. They want everyone. So I have a house that has like 2 violations left. And I tried to send him pictures and get the tenant to do the affidavit, but he doesn't remember what the floor looked like beforehand. So he's got to go in. He requested that everyone be out of the house. And there's an elderly woman who lives there who I know does not leave the house. He said then she needs to be in a room, masked up, and nowhere near him. And he'll run in and run out. But he did say they're slowly loosening the reins on that.
So let me, right, and I do a lot of just recently. It appears to be inspector by inspector, Beth. You find that to be true? We don't have a directive from Kirkmeyer on down yet, but they are developing a reopening plan. And I don't know if you saw the package that he sent out, but they don't have a structured policy in terms of reopening. I think it's left to the inspector, because the 3 inspectors I called this week, oh no, we can't do nothing yet until we hear from higher up. This is a response I get. So if you have a relationship with an inspector that you know he sees there's 2 items on there, he might make an exception to go in. I guess it's case by case. What's been
I'll tell you in the side chat who it was.
Okay, all right. So I think it's inspector by inspector right now. But I heard soon there's going to be a reopening plan in terms of inspections, because there's a tsunami of guys. They got tens of thousands of cases open right now of C of O's and complaints, and this just sitting there that need to be concluded. And you know, the longer you wait, the worse it's going to get, which is the same as our next topic. Let's talk about where do we stand with evictions, filing petitions. Oh my God, what a mess that is. So there are apparently overlapping executive orders and interpretations that are just clogging the system, right? From the governor, the court system, to local. They're all confused. So because of that, it was stymied, you know. So the city of Rochester, according to Crimmy, correct me if I'm wrong, Beth, anybody, if you get any new stuff, because it changes by the day, let me know. We're not, even though they have the ability to accept filings via mail, they're just not doing it. They can, but they won't, because because it's so murky. we're just going to wait for a court order. We're just going to wait from somebody high up to tell us what to do. That's our local people. Even though Buffalo, they have a regiment set up. They have a policy. They're opening up. Albany opening up. They're getting cases filed. So it's almost like location by location in terms of interpretation. So here we're kind of stuck. There's nothing inhibiting. Well, there are reasons why it's tough to to file. For example, if you're a pro se, if you're going to do your own evictions, forget it. That's not happening right now. What they are accepting are evictions represented by counsel on both sides. Okay, but it's mailed in or by virtual. They don't do virtual here yet, so we're still kind of stuck. But I do see a light at the end of the tunnel. I do see we're getting towards an opening. We don't know what day and how. Anybody have any difference of opinion on that or facts? Oh, let's talk about this. All right. Hold on. I'm going to talk about this one. Oh boy. You all still there? Why are you still there? So Beth, you're on the round table. I don't know.
Yeah.
We are today.
Today,
Okay,
no,
so
not today.
not today. So a new bill that's floating around the Senate just introduced, and I believe it's going to get passed. In a nutshell, what it's saying, it affects the Real Property Action Proceedings Law 746, which basically instructs the judges if you have an unrepresented litigant as a tenant, they have to go through a big long dissertation called an allocation of things that they have to say to the tenant when agreeing to a stipulation. Do you understand the stipulation? You understand what happens if you don't? You realize you can there's a whole list of things. You can adjourn to obtain counsel. You realize you have, so essentially it's giving the tenant, and there's some credibility to this, but it's giving the tenant a full awareness of what's happening, what's going to happen, and what will happen in the event that you default, and options of which you can maintain an answer and a continuous answer even after a stipulation and a hearing's all done as a stipulation. They have the ability to open up the case and bring in more information. So it's really going to muddy. It provides the tenant a lot of opportunity to prolong the eviction, to maybe end the eviction, or to whatever. But there's a bill out there that's floating around. I think it will get passed. It's preliminary right now. It just passed the Senate going to Assembly. That's one bill that's floating around out there that's going to affect how a judge has to interact with a tenant in court when they're not represented by counsel, which there are a lot. So that's something that's coming up here, and just want to give you that little update. All right, we're going to wind down here, guys. Got about a couple minutes left. It's open season. Anybody want to? Colleen, thanks. Brian, Colleen, thanks for chiming in. You guys are awesome. Beth,
Always like being here.
Thank
I
you.
learned a lot from you guys.
Yeah. So,
You know, Carl, one thing I just wanted to add to what you said before about homes in D areas, you know, sitting for a while. You know, Colleen and I are in the city all day, every day. And every now and then we'll spot an area that we see Habitat for Humanity is moving into. And we, you know, get on the phone and talk to our investors and say, this may be a D area, but it's changing. And they can get in on some pretty good deals. I picked up a house this week for an investor that I was shocked that it was in an area that I didn't think he'd be interested in, but there's Habitat houses, the neighborhood's turning around. And, you know, we look at a lot of that stuff. So Ds can change.
absolutely. So let me give you an example of what happened. Jonah, oh my God, over there at Smith Street, they demoed 180 houses, the whole thing, Operation Turnaround, right? All those new houses on Smith Street, Orange and so on, or Grape, Wilma, 180 brand new houses, right? Owner-occupied, affordable housing and rentals. And, you know, 5 years ago, I would not touch this thing whatsoever. But again, a single family house, 700 Smith Street we bought, right? I would not even go near that place. But I got out and I looked around and Brian, there were at least 30 brand new houses.
Yeah,
that just changed the whole persona of this area. And you're absolutely right. You're on ground floor with these types of locations, and there are a few around town. Johanna area is one, and you know the Conkey Avenue B, that whole area, the new projects, and the biggest one was the Chase development there on Scio and Union. That whole whole brand new neighborhood they built.
Sure.
You can't even recognize it.
I know.
It's unrecognizable.
So,
The other,
you're right.
the other theory I have, you know, Culver Merchants in North Winton Village. Those are areas you cannot buy a house in without spending way more money than it's listed for. I say those fringe areas, Beechwood, Market View. I see people starting to spread out to those areas to buy houses that are on the fringe of Culver Merchants and North Winton Village. And I think that if you have any ideas about changing neighborhoods, you might want to start investing in those two neighborhoods.
Yeah, the houses in North Winton, I mean, there's one that just went on the market today for $199,900. They're all going for almost $200,000. And we've got so many clients that want in that area. So now they're starting to branch out and get, like Colleen said, on the fringes where you can still grab a house a lot cheaper, but those values are going to go up.
Yeah, this is awesome. Yeah, great stuff. So any last minute comments, anybody? We're kind of saying that we don't have Leon here tonight. Is that a good thing?
I've got a Zoom call tomorrow. Pretty much everything we just talked about today, though.
Is it tomorrow?
That's tomorrow, 9 o'clock.
Did you want
Beth and Patrick?
Did you want to advertise that with us here?
It's everything you wanted to know about property management, and then some from our favorite people at Gallagher Property Management.
Awesome.
And it'll be a Zoom call from 9 to 10 o'clock. We do it every other Friday. Share it with your friends. If you need the link, my email is rochesterhouses@gmail.com, and I'll send it right out to you. And we'd love to have you.
Rochester Housing
Houses.
Nope. Rochester Houses.
Okay.
At gmail.com.
Yeah, it's fun time. It's called Tales of the Hood.
Yes. I can talk about me climbing through the window on Mariah Street this week.
How about the single house?
It was a single house.
That one there? You climbed through the window?
I did. And the tenant, okay, so the window was wide open. The tenants, I had put notices on the door that I'd be there to show it. Window was wide open. I banged on all the doors. There's 3 doors to this long single family 1-floor house. Nobody answered, but the window's wide open. So I just pulled up a table that was at the house next door, stepped on it and climbed in the window, pushed back the curtain and the roaches scattered, you know, because that's what you love. And then I just climbed in the window, and the guy that was with me, a young guy, he's like, let me climb through the window. And I go, no, 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 no. Because if you climb through the window, you're a threat. If a crazy old white lady's climbing through the window, they're just going to laugh at me. And sure enough, as soon as I got into the house, opened up the door, up walks the tenant up the driveway, and he didn't even ask how I got in.
That's a preview of Tales of the Hood. Okay, tomorrow, 9 o'clock.
Exactly.
All right, guys, we're all set. It's been a great time, and we're going to reconvene in 30 days. We'll have all new stuff by then, I would presume. So we're going to sign off, and Colin, we'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks, Carl. See you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody. Good night.
Bye.
Okay. No,